So the next step, if we're going to be turning this into some sort of quiz application, is to be able to respond to user input. And you'll recognize that I have these buttons that are list items from an unordered list that have been styled to look like pseudo buttons over here. And the effect I'm going to be looking for over here right now is that when I click on an element, it's going to change the color yellow, and it's going to actually log the element over here on the side. So for example, if I click on 4, I've logged this list item number 4. I'm logging this list item number 3. Here I'm logging list item number 1. And notice if I click on 2 again, the background color has since been set to yellow. So it's logging this list item, but notice it has that additional CSS specification. So here we get 2, 3, 4. So the question is, how does this happen? So what we start off doing over here is I get a node list using a document query selector all. Document query selector alls are amazing things. If you look up how to solve a problem and it's telling you to use jQuery, the answer probably is that you can solve this with a query selector all in many simple cases, not necessarily for animations. But what these guys allow you to do is they allow you to select multiple entities within the document. So what I'm doing here is similar to the CSS styling. I give a specification of the type of entity that I want to get all of. So I get all list items that reside under something with an ID of pseudo button. So here I have something with an ID of pseudo button, and here I have all the list items that reside underneath him. And I assign this to a var named NL button list. I'm going to copy this guy. I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to run this in my console. And you can see the NL button list, if I look at this thing, is going to be a node list of 4 entities. So I have entity 0 over here, which is this particular node list. You can see the CSS styling is being screwed up because I've allotted them less space. This is another reason why we use unordered lists to create pseudo buttons. Here's the list, the second list item, third list item, fourth list item. So I have this node list of all these things. Now, the node list, I'm just going to clear that out of here. The node list is not necessarily something that we can treat as an array, even though it looks like an array. So if I have my node list and then I have another entity over here where I convert it into an array using the array from entity, I can take these 2 lines and we can sort of run this. Excuse me, I'm going to paste them over here. And then you'll see I have this AR button list. This is an actual array. So he's quite different from this node list in that I can run array functions on them. And one of the most common array functions that we use are things like for each, map, reduce, filter. I can't run things like filter on a node list. It doesn't work. However, all the same entities that are inside of this class are inside of the array right now. And so if I do like AR button list of 0, you'll see that this is the list item number 1 over here. If I look at the 1th element, I have this thing that's 2, etc. You'll recognize that for each is basically a for array over here. And what I'm doing to each of these guys is adding an event listener. And the way add event listener works, I'm going to assume that you understand the for each process, where for each runs this particular function, in this case anonymous function, on every element inside of the array. Remember that our array in this case is a list. It's this AR button list. I'm going to clear my console and I'm going to say AR button list over here so you can see this array. These are 4 different list items. I'm going to run this anonymous function on every single element inside of that array, and I'm going to name each of these functions lm. And so for lm, I'm going to add an event listener. In this case, I'm adding the click event listener, and I'm going to assign the function button click to be called when click is performed, which is to say when a mouse click or a touch event on a phone or touchpad is called. So what we've got over here is a quick and simple way where I can grab all of these entities. I don't necessarily even need to know how many entities I've got inside of here. I've grabbed all of them using the query selector, and I've assigned the same onClick function to each of them. And in this case, I'm going to log them, And I don't even really care which one I've got in this click function over here, because this is going to be the actual element. Remember that when I was pressing this, I saw this list item 3. This is the log statement. You can see over here, line 46. It's logging the element that was clicked. So I then assign the CSS property background color via the style mechanism to be yellow. In this case, I could have just as well said blue, for example, right? And if I say like 1, he's blue, 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 and I can differentiate among these guys if I want to later on, but really this is a straightforward mechanism for assigning a single click event to multiple entities within this list item that we don't know how many there actually are going to be, and this is very extensible. Thanks.